79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood, take 1.
It's no secret that filmmaking is difficult. There are 1,000 moving pieces, deadlines and schedules to adhere to, and something is always bound to go wrong, regardless of how thorough a crew's plan is. Trust me, I've got experience.
Oh fuck.
Look, I need you to hurry up, so I'm gonna only give you 5. So, yeah.
Okay, well whatever, just go, get. Alright, so your parents are getting a divorce, so what? Who gives a shit?
However, no other genre compares to found footage films. Branded with their own unique set of challenges, found footage is incredibly difficult to pull off. Marketing and immersion can go a long way, but ultimately mean nothing if an audience is unable to suspend their disbelief and buy into the action on screen as legit. So, ambitious filmmakers have 2 choices: make their movie believable, or tell everyone it's real. Obviously, the latter option wouldn't fly in the age of the internet, but the topic of today's video didn't just pull it off, it killed it. In 1930, Congo Pictures released a movie they claimed contained authentic footage of an expedition into the Belgian Congo. But no one cared about that. All audiences wanted to see was a tribe of natives who sacrificed naked women to gorillas for the purposes of reproduction. This is the story of the world's first found footage film, Ingagi. As I said earlier, this story takes us all the way back to the year of 1930. The Great Depression is continuing to settle in, Warner Bros. Releases Looney Tunes, and Elm Farm Ollie becomes the first cow to fly aboard and be milked in a plane. There wasn't a whole lot to do back then. However, an independent film company named Congo Pictures kept themselves busy amidst the excitement. They were out to screen what they called an authentic, incontestable celluloid document showcasing the sacrifice of a living woman to mammoth gorillas. Now, who in their right mind wouldn't want to screen such an authentic, incontestable celluloid document? New York film distributors, that's who. No one up in New York was really interested in screening the film, so Congo Pictures had to settle for a 2-week run in San Diego instead. Luckily for them, those 2 weeks drew in over 40,000 moviegoers. And those 40,000 moviegoers got to witness the highlights of a 2-year scientific expedition into the Belgian Congo. In those 2 years, Sir Hubert Winstead, an English scientist, and American hunter Captain Daniel Swain bore witness to and documented some exotic and unbelievable sights. They saw a 65-foot python, witnessed one of their cameramen get mauled to death by a wounded lion, and even discovered the tortadillo, a previously unknown species. It's like a turtle, or a tortoise, I guess, with scales, and it's got wings so it can fly, and it's got like a tail. It's like a dinosaur. If you haven't been to the Belgian Congo, you're not gonna have heard of it. But these were mere perks of their mission, finding what's known as Ingagi country. See, this tribe of Congo natives worshipped gorillas, and eventually our explorers do find the tribe, whose women are very shy and wear very little clothing. While filming, some of the male natives manage to capture an Ingagi, but are quickly overpowered by the beast. Later on, another gorilla emerges to kidnap one of the naked female natives, but thankfully she's saved by the American hero, Captain Daniel Swain, who shoots the beast dead before it can take the woman back to its home for reproductive purposes. Because all gorillas care about is sex, after all. It's pretty clear to see why the film was a smash upon opening, though. Americans had never seen anything like this, and since not many zoos exhibited apes at the time, seeing a gorilla in its natural habitat was something special. The Scopes trial, in which a Tennessee high school teacher was tried for teaching human evolution in the classroom, also piqued the public's interest in regards to monkeys and monkey films. But all of Ingagi's predecessors, they were nothing more than mere fiction. Now this was the real deal. Something everyone just had to see. And luckily, Congo Pictures would keep the film moving, as Ingagi's next stop would be Chicago's Garrick Theater. While in Chicago, Congo Pictures would ramp up Ingagi's advertising, specifically relying on the gorilla-worshipping tribe and its naked women. At the time, Motion Picture News credited the lurid lobby advertising depicting a gorilla fondling a near-nude woman for attracting audiences. But along with audiences came some unwanted attention. Everything that made the film a success were things that the Motion Picture Producers and Distribution Association, the MPPDA, popularly known as the Haze Office, frowned upon. The Haze Office was basically this conglomerate of large US-based studios, and in 1930 they adopted what's known as the Hays Code, which deemed what content was acceptable and unacceptable in film screened to the public. Examples of some content deemed unacceptable by the Hays Code included white slavery, ridicule against the clergy, and swearing. Well, isn't that some shit? As I'm sure you can imagine, the Haze Office had a field day with Ingagi. Nudity, human death, animal cruelty, men and women dancing together closely, all things the public shouldn't have to be subjected to. And they would act 1 week after Ingagi made its Chicago debut by adding 2 new rules to the code. Sex perversion or any interference of it is forbidden, and complete nudity is never permitted. Now, if you think this is where Ingagi falls, you'd be right. Except you'd be wrong. As a result of its Hays Code violations, Ingagi was dubbed an exploitation film, or a movie that exploits content, in Ingagi's case nudity, solely for financial gain. And this status had the opposite effect that the Haze Office wanted it to. Ingagi being an exploitation film only increased the public's desire to see it, because the people in charge told them not to. It's like when your graphic design teacher tells you not to go on YouTube during class, but you do anyways. Because you're an epic badass. Anybody who saw that movie was an epic badass. Or, as they said in the 1930s, a cool cat. I don't know if that's true or not. Following his time in Chicago, Ingagi made its way to San Francisco, and it was reported that every theater along Market Street received an offer to screen the film, but only one accepted Congo Pictures' irresistible offer. The San Francisco Orpheum, owned by the infamous RKO. Not that RKO. Radio Keith Orpheum. With a screening set to begin in another state, Congo Pictures once again revved up their advertising engines. Newspaper ads posed the question, was Darwin right, and hinted at the possibility of a missing link. The film's handbills described its plot in a rather exaggerated fashion, and all of the artwork depicted naked women, which was the real deal breaker. But Congo's intense efforts didn't stop at just advertising. The film opened at the Orpheum on April 5th, and the lobby had been transformed to enhance the ambiance. The walls were decorated with African scene paintings. Stuffed African animals like hyenas and zebras inhabited the space. They even mustered up the courage to place a stuffed lion attacking a gazelle in the lobby after the loss their poor camera crew had suffered. Jungle sounds played over the loudspeaker, ticket booths were decorated as straw huts, and the ushers even dressed as generic hunters. By all accounts, it sounds like Congo Pictures did a great job at recreating Africa, the continent they'd 100% actually been to. And their interior decorating skills and the advertising clearly paid off. Ingagi drew in nearly $4,000 on its opening night alone, which is doubly impressive when you consider the fact that tickets cost 30 to 65 cents. That's right, cents. Change. Coins. Predictably, it was the highest grossing film of April 1930, utterly dominating the competition. Of course, RKO was pleased with the coinage Ingagi was raking in. I don't think they'd seen so many dimes and nickels in their life. So, they had several more prints made to be played at 7 other theaters they owned, including the Orpheums in Oakland and Los Angeles. One source claimed that in total 19 prints were made. A month later, the film newspapers described as the gorilla sex picture was topping box office charts in 14 different cities across the country. It was so popular that a song titled My Ingagi was even written about it. The reviews eventually came in, and
The world's top critics are raving
about
one of the best reviewed films of the year.
I made that part up, but most critics only had positive things to say about the film, yet some questioned Ingagi's authenticity. There are always a few party poopers, aren't there? I mean, come on. Come on, the film's absolutely 100% legit. Sir Hubert Winstead? Captain Daniel Swain? Pfft, absolutely went to the Belgian Congo, right? Am I right? The movie was not only able to continue screening, but became a success, because it was booked as an independent production. This meant that it was unaffiliated with the Haze Office, and therefore didn't need to abide by its stupid old code. All it needed to be screened was approval from a state or Canadian province's censor board, and then there was nothing anyone could do to stop its success. On May 21st, 1930, Congo Pictures revealed that Ingagi had grossed $642,300 across the 14 cities it was shown in. It truly seemed as though the guerrilla sex picture was unstoppable. Until the Haze Office tried to stop it. That same day, they ordered that their members cease and desist from playing Ingagi, because it was a sham. Congo Pictures presented it as an authentic account when it wasn't. Hard to believe, I know. It appears that this decision was made based off of two previous incidents. First, the Better Business Bureau, or BBB, ran their own investigation into Captain Daniel Swain and Sir Hubert Winstead. At its conclusion, they revealed that neither of those people actually existed. Secondly, the American Society of Mammalogists deplored the film's, quote, numerous fictitious features which are misleadingly mingled with genuine natural history records. One of their experts even stated that the tortadillo was nothing more than a turtle with wings, scales, and a tail glued onto it. But what does that nerd know? That's a reptile. This resulted in the Haze Office conducting their own investigation, which revealed that most of the safari footage seen in Ingagi was lifted from older films. For example, shots of animals seen in a watering hole and a scene where a baby rhino gets shot was lifted from Lady Grace Mackenzie's 1915 Heart of Africa, a documentation of her Kenyan safari. There's also speculation that some of the safari footage was lifted from the 1928 film Chang. Finally, the Haze Office claimed that the ending scene between the natives and the Ingagi was actually shot in an LA zoo owned by one Colonel William Selig, who built the zoo explicitly for use in jungle films. The Los Angeles Examiner would later reveal that the natives were played by LA locals and that the lion attack was staged by Jackie, better known as that lion. Eventually, Nat Spitzer, president of Congo Pictures, was ousted as Ingagi's producer and narrator. But Spitzer wasn't about to let these revelations kill his film's momentum, and in an attempt at damage control, he stated that 85% of the film is authentic. He would go on to say that these shots obtained from Selig Zoo were, in his words, for the purpose of obtaining suitable transition sequences to round out the picture. He even told the Better Business Bureau that the scenes between the Ingagi and the natives were absolutely genuine. Even with the facade in shambles and the Haze Office decision resulting in RKO having dropped Ingagi from its theaters, the film continued to prevail by booking far more lucrative deals with independent theaters, who saw a boom in business thanks to the film. The revelations that came out about it being fictional only further attracted audiences, who were reportedly torn between being disgusted or finding the entire thing hilarious. Ingagi even received the green light to be screened in Illinois and Massachusetts, whose censor boards were notoriously tough. The Ohio censor board, who'd previously banned the film, even reversed their decision and gave Ingagi the green light to be screened in the state. Their original ruling stated that the film could be screened as long as all scenes involving nudity, close dancing between native men and women, and all title cards and narration implying the sacrifice of naked women to gorillas for the purposes of sex were removed. This time around though, it could be screened in its full, unedited entirety, as long as the advertising stated that it was a work of fiction. Then, in June, the Haze Office miraculously reversed their decision. They stated that there was no ban, and that members of the office could screen Ingagi if they so desired. And, as hard to believe as it may be, this decision wasn't based on good merits alone. The US Congress played a significant role in it, actually. See, by this point in 1930, Congress was hot on the tail of the Haze Office, following accusations of unfair trade practices from independent theater owners and producers. The office believed that a full ban on Ingagi would result in further monopolistic practice charges, and just decided to let their members do with the film as they pleased. But probably in an attempt to have the last laugh, Congo Pictures would file a lawsuit against the Haze Office regarding the cease and desist order their members received. And unsurprisingly, this would not be the last laugh in this saga. Not if the Haze Office had anything to say about it. Congo Pictures, on the other hand, was feeling pretty confident. So confident, in fact, that they took out a newspaper ad with the headline, "The battle is on." In these ads, they revealed that Ingagi made more than $1 million across 29 cities in 13 weeks. Now, at this stage, after everything they went through with the Haze Office, you'd think that Congo Pictures would have learned a lesson about boasting. But they didn't. In July 1930, Byron P. Mackenzie, son of big game hunter Lady Grace Mackenzie, sued Congo Pictures over unauthorized use of his mother's film. He was awarded $150,000 in September. Then, almost like rubbing salt into the wound, an actor from Ingagi sued Congo Pictures over his unpaid salary. This actor claimed he was cast on as a native, but was later promoted to the film's guerrilla division. And he just wanted what was owed to him, and rightfully so. So what do you think this dude's daily salary was? $50? $100? $150? $6.50. They offered to pay this dude $6.50 and just didn't. Must have not had cash on him that day. Ingagi's luck would continue to go down the tubes though, as the Humane Society, the Campfire Girls of America, and various women's clubs all joined forces to boycott the film. They wanted to protest against all films not approved by their organizations, and Ingagi was the perfect target for them due to its blatant animal cruelty. Although, at this point it was public knowledge that all of that had been lifted from other films, so I don't know what they were really hoping to get out of this. Probably looked for a way to sue Congo Pictures too. The final nail in the gorilla-sized coffin would come in April, when a single document pretty much blew whatever facade Spitzer was attempting to maintain right out of the water. A detective hired by the Haze Office to investigate the film obtained an affidavit signed by one Charles Gimora. Gimora was a well-known actor who excelled in playing realistic apes, with 55 of his 59 IMDb credits listing him as a gorilla or some form of ape. He also played a Martian in 1953's War of the Worlds. And there's your useless piece of trivia to make you feel smarter than all your friends. In an interview with Motion Picture Magazine, Gimora alluded to the threat of being blacklisted by the Haze Office if he didn't admit to his role in the project. After all this, Ingagi would still continue to be screened and even receive some international releases. It opened in Germany and Brazil in 1931. The July 8th, 1931 edition of Journal do Brasil even contains a review of the film. Then, in 1933, the Federal Trade Commission issued a conditional cease and desist order against Ingagi. Under this order, it could be screened once again as long as Nat Spitzer admitted that it was a work of fiction. Given Spitzer's steadfastness regarding this same topic a few years prior, there was no way that was ever going to happen. After all, it is absolutely 100% authentic Belgian Congo expedition footage. I mean, you can't fake that stuff. Because of his dedication to, well, to the bit, Ingagi would never be screened again. Time would continue to march forward. Weeks turned to months, months to years. And, much like the Dragon Balls, the alleged 19 copies of Ingagi would wind up God knows where, and the film would officially be dubbed a piece of lost media. It was very likely that the film had simply been lost to the sands of time, never to be seen again. But, also much like the Dragon Balls, an object of great power can never remain hidden for very long. And in 2006, 73 years after the FTC's conditional cease and desist order, Ingagi's time in the shadows would be no more. A user by the name of Robus would make a post to the Classic Horror Film Board on September 7th, 2006. It read, "I had a couple old 35mm prints in my garage for years. I knew one was an African safari film, but until recently, I don't think I ever heard the word Ingagi. Anyway, however many Ingagi prints are in existence, still don't know for sure, there is now one more. My film is complete and in good shape, but does show aging that you might expect of a 75-year-old nitrate film. Judge for yourself from the scans. I intend to sell the film, but I'm in no great hurry to do so." I think if I'd found something of such historical significance, and a piece of lost media nonetheless, the very, very first thing I would do would be to slap a for sale sign on it too. But the users of this forum, they didn't care about Robus' sales pitch. They only cared about the images that were accompanying this post, which Robus claimed hadn't been posted to any other forum anywhere. The last image is probably the most noteworthy though, as Robus claimed it came from the last few minutes of the film and was a still from the gorilla charging the hunters. Robus continued on to say that he hadn't seen the Ingagi kidnapping the natives, and that the gorilla scene seemed relatively short. The reason behind this was most likely because Robus literally hand-cranked the film over a flatbed scanner and just stopped at random points of interest. They said that they just likely missed those scenes, and as disappointing as it is that we're not going to see any of those images, they were kind enough to post images of the tortadillo, which essentially washed away any doubt that this was indeed an authentic copy of Ingagi. They also linked their website, which contains 100 scans of the film, opening a treasure trove of largely unseen images. At this stage, it was pretty clear that this was an authentic copy of Ingagi. But one thing that wasn't so clear was the lack of interaction between the natives and the gorillas in all of the stills Robus posted. While Robus most likely just missed them, and he did say that the gorilla scenes were short, another user named Dr. Kiss chimed in and said that those scenes might not even be in Robus' print at all. Dr. Kiss said Robus' print bore a stamp of approval from the Pennsylvania Board of Censors, not exactly the most easygoing censorship board in the country, so it's very likely that this copy of the film is just missing those scenes altogether. Following this initial interaction, Robus would continue to pop in and out of the thread once every so often to provide updates about his print. The most notable of which were that it was a green tinted print, yet he removed the color from all of the scans on his website to make them easier to see. He also stated in a post that by 2012 he still hadn't sold his copy of the film and hadn't received any inquiries in quite some time. This 2012 post from Robus would be his final one on the thread, and it would just kind of taper out from there. Taking a gander at old Robus' website gives us a glimpse into the 100 scans he posted. And while a majority of the stills come from the older films Ingagi pulled from, the last 38 give us some glimpse of Charlie Gamora's gorilla suit, as well as a brief understanding of Ingagi's story. The film says that the human sacrifice is done to please the gods and prevent the Ingagi from attacking the tribe. The filmmakers also said that after witnessing the attempted kidnapping, they just dipped out, which is honestly about right.
Sorry fellas, we can't help, we've got a film to sell.
Robus did mention that his print contained no audio, or at least he couldn't hear it over a flatbed scanner. But in 2013, a user by the name of Old Poster Hoe arrived on the thread with a solution to Robus' problem. Somehow he managed to get his hands on 7 of the original cut of the film's Vitaphone reels. He said he was missing the 8th and final reel, which in his words was the Holy Grail. Old Poster Hoe asked the thread to help him track down the 8th reel, as he was going to be recreating the film using the audio and any stills that were available online. Since Robus' print contained no audio and watching the film is impossible, this recreation would be the next best way to experience what the original film was like to some extent. In 2014, the fruits of Old Poster Hoe's labor made their way to YouTube. It looks like he was unable to track down the 8th and final disc, but he made a recreation, meaning that the entire film can be listened to online thanks to his labor of love. Watching it, on the other hand, that's a different story. It was long rumored that the Library of Congress had a copy of Ingagi in their possession, and this rumor was confirmed in 2016. The person in charge of the library's nitrate vaults told a Lost Media Wiki forum user that they had 3 copies of Ingagi in their possession, and that one of them had been transferred to acetate film, which is less susceptible to damage from aging and fire. While that is great news, don't get your hopes up yet, because it's very unlikely that the film's going to be released anytime soon. The current head of the library doesn't seem to be a big horror fan, instead choosing to focus on the restoration of stupid old westerns and dumb dramas. On the bright side, it'll probably be released in this lifetime. Hopefully. That same Lost Media Wiki forum thread also contains a few more interesting posts. Firstly, in 2015, another user reached out to Robus who said he still had yet to sell his print and hadn't really received any serious inquiries about buying it either. Then, on April 22nd, 2020, another user posted a link to what was, in their words, a heavily decayed 16mm print of Ingagi on eBay. They claimed the asking price was set at $1,000, which is lowballing it if you ask me. I don't think Spitzer would have approved of that price. Unfortunately, the link was never archived, so there's no way we can confirm this claim. However, something unforeseen happened in 2016. Charlie Gomorrah Uncredited, a documentary on Mr. Gomorrah's roles and contributions to early Hollywood, was released. The film covers Ingagi and even gives us some new insight into its development. It claims that the project was the brainchild of both Nat Spitzer and Gomorrah when they met on the set of a short called His Favorite Wife. But the most shocking part of the documentary comes at about the 17-minute mark, when approximately 90 seconds of Ingagi, with sound, are shown. The production company who developed this documentary, Cloud Tank Creative, somehow managed to get their hands on a copy of Ingagi, with sound nonetheless, and just casually dropped it in the film. Though it's unknown how they obtained the footage and just how much they had access to. The documentary received very little fanfare, which is understandable, as only people with an interest in classic guerrilla or classic jungle movies would even know about this documentary. To put how under the radar this project went into context, at the time of recording it has no reviews on IMDb and only 2 reviews on Amazon. But it's also not like there's a huge search going on for Ingagi. Sure, it is considered a piece of lost media, but we know where it is. It's only considered lost because nobody's seen it in 70 years. As I said, it's likely the film will be released in this lifetime, although it's not exactly like anybody's desperate to see it. It's still an interesting piece of lost media and a significant piece of film history, though. After all, though it's never been officially credited, it's largely speculated that without the success of Ingagi, another under-the-radar guerrilla film called King Kong may have never been made. It's largely speculated that RKO greenlit Kong due to Ingagi's success. And understandably so, as it was one of the highest-grossing films of the Great Depression, with one of the only sources on the movie, a 2006 LA Times article, speculating that it made about $4 million. That's so much coinage. Unfortunately, since it was booked independently, no official records were ever kept for how much the movie made. I guess it just goes to show that lying and swindling can really go a long way. Hold on. And with that, the story of Ingagi, the world's first found footage film, comes to an end for now. I will say that the few sources available on this film are torn between calling it the world's first found footage film and the world's first mockumentary. Personally, I'd lean more towards the mockumentary side just because the footage was presented as authentic when it wasn't. So, without Ingagi, it's very possible that classic mockumentaries like What We Do in the Shadows, This Is Spinal Tap, and the notorious A Day in the Life of the Fungus, which can be watched right here, may have never been made. Although that last one is 100% legit. It's all true, trust me. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate you giving me your time for this video, and I will see you in the next one, when we venture out to the Congo and hunt down this tribe of Ingagi worshipping natives. Probably not gonna happen. Hey everyone, it's me. First off, if you made it this far, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. It means so much to me. Secondly, I just wanted to apologize for the audio issues towards the end of the video. My clip-on mic got unplugged from my high-tech audio recording device, my cell phone. So what you heard was the on-camera audio. Let this be a lesson. Always check your audio, and always have backups. Now, on to why I'm here. Firstly, I wanted to make a correction regarding Charlie Gomorrah Uncredited. It turns out the documentary was uploaded by its writer and director, Jason Barnett. When asked how he got the footage in a comment on the upload, he said he acquired the mostly complete copy UCLA has in its archives. He then took to the Lost Films subreddit in July 2020, saying he contacted Robus about his print. Robus said he still had the print, but finally received an offer he'd be willing to sell it for. He told Barnett that he'd need to bid at least $8,500 to beat the other offer. Barnett then said he'd be opening a Kickstarter later that month to raise funds to purchase and restore the film. But that was the last update he'd provide about the print, probably because it no longer mattered. On November 2nd, 2020, it was announced that Something Weird Video, in association with Kino Lorber, will be releasing a 4K restoration of Ingagi on January 5th, 2021. The film will be released on Blu-ray and presumably digitally as well, since Kino Lorber is a direct distributor to companies like iTunes, Amazon, and more. So, another piece of lost media makes its way back to the world, and the final chapter in Ingagi's story comes to a close. I mean, of course the film is being restored, since I'm making a video on it. Can't be a coincidence. Dang, mic wasn't even plugged in. Anyways, that's it for me. Once again, thanks for watching, enjoy Ingagi, and I'll see you in the next one.